Okay, bottom line. You do as much as you can in Excel. If there's percentages do you want to run them in Excel before you bring them into Tableau. And understand, take a look at all your data. If you're confused in Excel, it's only going to get worse when you bring it into Tableau. So get things nice and clear in your mind. Make notes, either hand notes or text edit notes, and be clear-minded when you bring this into Excel. Now, we got to deal with the fact that we have geolocation, and some of us, like myself, has geolocation that Tableau doesn't know what to do with. Don't worry, we have to go get a shapefile. And shapefile is some binary code that somehow represents vector graphics that are located geographically. That's as much of a technical definition you'll get from me. Just know that anybody who deals with data and geography understands what a shapefile is. Here is a nice little look at it in a PC file. I believe this is ArcGIS, another software that's PC based that does mapping as well. And you can see over there to the left in the columns of data, you got something called agriculture ag shape, SHP. That is the extension that recognizes that that file is a shape file. So what does this mean to us? Well, in Tableau, these are the geographical designations that Tableau recognizes: airport, area code, city, congressional district. If you have state, zip code, if you have any of these, rename that column one of these, and Tableau will be able to take care of it. You can also connect it up once you bring it in. If you need help, come see me. But if you have airport, I don't think anybody has airport. I don't think anybody has area code. A couple of you have city. Some of you may have county, and a few of you I know have zip code. So you should be okay. But again, even if you have those, it might not be too bad to go get a shapefile. And remember, I copied and pasted GeoID and GeoID2, and I replaced the ID in ID2. If you didn't do that, that's okay. Just remember, ID and ID2 is geo columns. And they look like this in our data. So they have these numbers on them that represent something in census data that shapefiles can replicate. So let's go get the shapefile. So if you come back to American Fact Finder, there's my locations, and I have all of this around Tucson. You come down to get that icon that it looks like a download file, and there you go. You download this as a shapefile, say OK, it'll download into your download files, and then it will look like this when you get done. So that's how you go get your shapefiles for the data that you selected. You just have to select that geolocation again in American Fact Finder and go into Map and download it as a shapefile. Now, let's put the shapefile to the side for a second, and let's bring in your data into Tableau. And let's start from the beginning. So open Tableau, create a new workbook, File, New, and then save your workbook. So I call this Tucson Final. So save it in a place and that you know that you can find it. And by default, it puts it in a Tableau folder. Next, let's connect to your Microsoft Excel file. That is the file that you submitted last time to me, or something that you've cleaned up a bit after listening to the first part of this tutorial. So you're going to connect your to your Excel file, then it's going to come in. But before you go and look at the sheet, let's also go get your shape file. And so once you can see I have my Tucson Final 2016 ACS to indicate it's American Community Survey. I have that there. Now I'm going to get a spatial file. I click Add Spatial File, and I go get that shapefile. Once you find your folder, and don't mess with any of these folders, but once you find with your folder, you click on it and it'll pick the only one that your system will bring in and say open. And then once you do that, you'll have both of them in Tableau. And notice that they're kind of nice and that they're kind of color coded. So once you do that, click over off of data and into sheets, and you will drag your your geometric, drag that over into the center of the screen, and all of a sudden your geolocations will show up. Notice at the very top, it also generates a lat long, a latitude and longitude data, and that came from your shapefile. Now, I've got this strange thing up here called Strawberry, Arizona. It doesn't fit. It's something I threw in the data as an anomaly to show you how to take it out. It turns out to be a problem I have to deal with a lot. And also over there to the right, notice that we are in maps. So that's how you should look right now in Tableau once you have pulled in your geography. Now, remember, I've only picked the shapefile, and you can see that off to the left. I haven't picked anything from the Excel file, the actual data. I'm just dealing with the shapefile right now. In order to make it work with the data, I have to create a union. And remember, I've been talking a little bit about binders, that columns need to have binders. That geo column is our binder that's going to bind the shapefile to the data. So here's how you make a union. We go back, we've got the Tucson and the 16,000, which is the shapefile. I'm going to drag that, my first sheet, which is population and where people were born. So that's a pop birth resident, is what I've called it. And I'm going to drag it over into over close to the shapefile because the shapefile was up. Now I'm going to drag it into that window above the sheets. And you can see that when I do that, there is a warning sign by that exclamation point. So once I do that, and by the way, there's going to be a video of this later on in this tutorial when I bring in another sheet. So once I do that, I got to make the connections. So if you click Enter and you tag your GeoID in the shapefile to the GeoID, and now it's giving it a number 1, so it's different, but it's basically indicating it's a duplicate. GeoID 1 in the population birth sheet, then things are connected and you have a union between the two. So now we can map out, it out. So here we go. I've got the union right there. I've got things right here all loaded up. Notice that it duplicates it down the column. You have Geo1 and GeoID and GeoID1, so it's kind of duplicating some things. When I turn over into Sheets, I can drag my geography over there, and there I have my whole shapefiles, and I'm going to put name in, and now when I scroll over it, it has the name of the suburbs of Tucson in it. Before that, it's just a shapefile. It's just, it doesn't have a name. I can change the color. We can change the color according to the data, and we're going to do that in a little bit. But in here, if you want to mess with it, you can change the color once you bring it in. Now, remember there's detail and all this sort of stuff. We messed with that earlier on. But let's go get some data. I'm waiting for me to go get some data. So over here to the left, I have the different data that came in with that population birth. And let's just do population right now. Notice that it's got the big long name. I kept the names as they were in the census data. So let's go rename that. If you've renamed your stuff in Excel, you don't have to do this step. but I'm just going to name it Population 2016 because it comes from the 2016 American Community Survey. And look at that, I misspelled it. Go back. Let's change this up. And give it some parentheses. Because again, I'm going to be looking at things over time eventually, so maybe having the year in parentheses works better. So there we go. We've got our first little set of data. Now, remember I said you can drag data over and make the colors representative of some sort of range in the data. So I'm going to go click on I actually did this a while ago. I can't remember what I named. Oh, I'm going to rename it. In a little bit, I'm going to show you how to change percentages as well. But here we go. So now I got population and U.S. born out. So this is a measure of being a U.S. citizen but not born in the state of Arizona. So there I've got a little color coding according to a range in the data, and I've got my map started. So again, this is my column, and you can see that I have the geographical dimensions are measured and noted by the world. And I'm showing you how I got rid of strawberry. So in the slide before, the movie before, I'd already taken care of that outlier. But once you have geolocations and a name up and one little piece of data, I threw in percent male, you can hit that exclude button and it'll take it out. Now, how to change things to percentages. You come up here, you pick your data, hit default properties, go into number format. Again, this is a right click, default properties, number format. And after that, you can pick a number of things, including currency. Here I picked percentage and I made it 0 decimals. Later on, you'll see some income data. And so I hit currency, custom, and I took out decimal places there as well. So that is how you can format your data after you get it in so that when you roll over it, your data looks like this. And I'm already starting to see some things that I was expecting, including that inside Tucson has less of what we would call transplants than some of the suburbs like Saddlebrook. So I'm already starting to get some of the things that I went out to look for. Okay, so that's how to do that. Now, let's take a look at how to format the range in your data. So I made this a little bit bluer, different kind of blue, but I want to come up here and change the formatting. I can edit the colors. When you go to edit your colors, come down here, you can pick a palette for the range. I'm going to pick, but don't forget to go back, say OK. You're going to have to say OK twice before you get the range. And you can change the step and color if you want to as well. So that is how to change your formatting. You can also come back here and I'm setting up the second map. So now I've created a second map and I'm going to go get another. You can put more sheets in that way. There's also a plus button at the bottom of the screen as well. And that's how you add a sheet in. So I am going to now go find some more data to bring in. So here we go. I come back to the data sheet, and when I brought in race, You notice that I can't drag it down because I've got to make that union. So I come over here, I click, I find GeoID from the shapefile, I find GeoID from the race file, and now I am connected and I can make this second map. So returning to the second map, let's go back. And I'm just going to take in Hispanic is a pretty big thing in Arizona, of course, and I like that gradation. This is a percentage, and notice that it doesn't come in as a percentage. It comes in as a part of a number. So come down. I'm going to rename it first. Am I going to rename it? I forgot what I did. Yeah, there we go. Come down, percentage, tap down those decimal points, and now it comes in as a percentage, and you can add to it as you go. Okay, so we've got two maps. Let's make a bar chart. Oh, and I'm going to change the title here. That's how you change the title, percentage Hispanic by place, and I deliberately used the same language as the census data. I didn't say region or suburb, I used place, and then medium income by place. And there you go. You can again edit your colors. Just make sure you say okay and okay. Okay, next we do bar charts. So here from the get-go, I have name. I've pulled name in from the dimensions, and you can come down and pick any of the data that you want to add to the columns. So percentage native, I can drop it in there, but I'm going to put it up here, and by default it always seems to go to bar charts. I want to keep them as a table, and we can look at bar charts here in a bit. I can organize these in any way I want to, by descending or ascending. I'm going to come in here and going to grab one more thing just to show you, because in the end, I think it's best to try to compare this with something. So I'm going to compare it to median income. And now you have two bar charts over here, and you can organize these any way you want to. Right now, by default, it's still on the left side, percent native born Arizonan. It's from the highest to the lowest, and then by default, the median income went along those same ranges, so you can compare that way. There's other different things you can look at. Of course, if you export these out into online, it'll have that nice little rollover that you see. You can bring it back into a table over here if you want to keep it a table. Don't do these. If you do these type of things, it seems like they'll go well, but Tableau is just not, it's not easy to handle these things. Go back to a split bar chart. I think that's the best way to present this stuff. And notice that when I did that, it went back to being alphabetical. I can organize it again by this time by descending on medium income and have Corona de Tucson as the highest because they have the most income by the places I'm looking at. Okay, in the next slide, I've already kind of changed this up, retitled it, taken a look at this, reformatted it by color. Just want to remind you that to do that, you come over here, you pick the data that you're looking at, and you come in here and you can get the color. So that's what I did to get these colors, and I still have it kind of ranked ordered by medium income on the way down. And you can change the color on both of those as you want. So that's how you do that. Again, if you want to readjust it and maybe Say, I want it organized by percentage of native born Arizonan, or how about medium income seems the best way to take a look at that data. And you've got those rollovers again. Okay. Now, setting up a table. So I'm going to grab place. So I'm going to put it in rows, and we've got our place, my places at least, in the rows. And then you just come and get some data and make a table. I'm going to do medium age. I'm going to do a lot of the same things that I've been doing here in the table. And again, you have to come on back. And basically what I'm doing right now, you should do this as well, is just to start to see what you can kind of see in the data and what you think you want to compare. At the end of the day, for me at least, I've compared Tucson to a few suburbs that make sense, and so this is a way of organizing your thoughts. To format your table, it's a little tough. Oops, go back. It's a little tough to get a handle on this, but once you see those two verticals, you can do that. Let me play this again for you. It's really kind of a bear to get those horizontal triangles, but once you do, you can pull over and format your columns. Okay, how to exclude. So we had strawberry before in the map, but look at here. I've got a couple of things that have no data because they're so small. Summer Haven is a retirement community, and so I can just click on them and exclude them in the data. So that's how you do maps, bar charts, set up some tables, start organizing your thoughts on what makes sense to the questions that you had, and start working in Tableau. So I just want to remind you what the final is. You're going to be producing 3 to 5 visual elements, one that must be a map. You can have a couple more as a map, but I'd like to see a bar chart or a table that makes sense to what you're looking at. Unless you've talked to me and you're using census data, and you can start building these things. I'll get you some materials on how to export this out to Tableau Public. That's what you're going to do. And you should be able to embed this on a site so that it has all that interactive features and functions for the people who are looking at your work. So those of you who have portfolios online, my goal is that you have this somewhere nice, a little narrative about a place you looked at and a question that you brought to data so that you can show that you can do data. If you don't have a portfolio, or if you want to make this more visual and just give it to me in a PDF or whatever you want to do that's a hard copy, that's fine too. At the end of the day, I want you guys to feel good about what you've learned and not be overwhelmed by this. This isn't a brutal final. It's just going to take a little time, and the more clear-minded and the more clear your data is once you bring it into Tableau, the better off you're going to be. Okay, a little word on availability for me this week. Right now, there's some unexpected things happening where appointments and meetings are getting set. I am in all day tomorrow, Monday. On Tuesday, December 4th, I'm in the morning. I've got meetings out of the building in the afternoon. And right now, I'm here on Wednesday. Thursday and Friday is going to be up in the air. I think the best bet is that you can text me or email me through Canvas. Tell me ahead of time when you want to come by, and we'll take a look at what you got going on. Do not freak out. I anticipate that most every one of you will have some moment of panic as you bring this stuff into Tableau. Just breathe, keep clear-minded, work through the problem if you can. If you can't, come see me. And actually, I would like all of you to come see me. The end is near, and it's not going to be that bad, but don't suffer alone. So come on and see me, and I have a couple more things to give you, how to export this out, and then just a wrap-up of the semester. So, okay, guys, come talk to me. Hope you're doing well.